News out of Burma since President Thein Sein took office in March 2011 has predominantly been of widespread reforms, democratic change, and the release of high-profile political prisoners. After decades of ruthless dictatorship, it is news which the international community warmly welcomes. Despite this good news, Burma still has 25% of parliament reserved for the military, and the judiciary and the economy remain dominated by military interests.
Burma is different with other countries. Burma is not a peaceful country. Burmese people are still fighting for their rights.
It's a lot simpler in the past to look at the regime and just say this is one of the nastiest regimes on the planet at this time. And the situation now is actually a lot more complex. The real risk now is that the international community is going to figure that the hard work has already been done, that the lady is in parliament and that political prisoners have been released and democracy is opening up the country. You know, to speak to some of the diplomats or government officials or ministers who are paying attention to affairs in Burma, you'd think everything is fine and that the hard work's been done. It's really, this is only just beginning. There's a lot of optimism, there's a lot of hope, but there's still a lot of horror as well. I'm really worried that political prisoners are coming off the international agenda, and in fact there are still hundreds of people, we don't even know the exact number, still incarcerated, people being imprisoned and tortured even now in the conflicts in Kachin State and in Arakan. We're all familiar with the story of Dao Su and the extraordinary advocacy and sacrifices that she made under house arrest, and while there are people suffering circumstances that even she didn't have to suffer in these absolute hellholes or being shunted around the country from one prison to another, and some of them die in there and never come out, then we can't pretend that this is a free country, that this is a place where the rule of law is respected.
You know, they released Aung San Suu Kyi, they released Min Aung Hlaing and other prominent leaders. In the meanwhile, they do not release AL, they do not release Komi A and other 400 political prisoners. No, they are not like the famous one. But in the meanwhile, they use political prisoners as pawn for their political games or political power. That is not a good method to use for rebuilding the country. Yeah, laughing is a good medicine. You know, we the Burmese people always make a jokes. Because we suffer a lot. So if we cry, we will be crazy. Therefore, we try to laugh, even though we are in prison. For example, when people hit and he was painful, we make laughing and then talking something blah blah. So that's the way we try to help him for less painful.
It was actually quite hard when I told my parents what I would be doing here, and because they didn't understand. They said, "Why do you want to help criminals get out of prison?" It was quite hard for them to understand what exactly is a political prisoner and how that's different from a criminal offender.
The Koso Luye body, not a the Luta Tamia, so the Pomarine Charara, Munsewa, Pomarine Charara, Naraka, the Lu Wabo, Pidulu by Pidu by Pisili, Lodonga Loda, Lelera, Era Ligaro, you know, Yazo, Agenda Tamama.
So I really had to explain that these people were being imprisoned for things that we take for granted in our day-to-day lives, such as being able to choose your religion or being able to just be part of a student union, you know, just simple civil and political liberties.
So the Quadiga Quahachagaro, the Nangaye Tenariga, Amiato Sawe
My name is Bochi.
My name is
Kaiman.
Kintomi Zulu.
Tunai. My name is Mimin.
My name is Chiao.
I was a senior year student, a second year university student.
I was a member of the security group for
I was studying a master in physics.
At Rangoon University, majoring in international relations.
Majoring in Burmese literature in 1988.
My name is Susu Win. I was a mathematics student at Rangoon University.
Burma's modern history has long been linked to political activism, first in the struggle against colonisation, which resulted in independence in 1948, and then in the struggle against successive military regimes. As anti-British sentiment increased in the 1920s and 30s, Burma's students coordinated strikes in 1920 and again in 1936, calling for greater political autonomy and the reinstatement of expelled students.
Under the British government, one like the Burmese people fought against British government for getting independence. Many activists were arrested, but at that time, the situation is very different with now. So under the British government, the political activists were respected by British government. Also, even though they were in prison, they were treated very well.
In 1962, 14 years after Burma had gained independence, General Ne Win staged a military coup. His intolerance for political opposition was soon evident. On the 7th of July 1962, students protesting his military rule based themselves in the Union Building at Rangoon University. The Burmese military responded by blowing up the building with dynamite, killing more than 100 of the students. Over the following decades, it became obvious that arbitrary arrest, torture, imprisonment, and the killing of political activists was part of a ruthless state policy.
In 1988, we could introduce democracy and human rights in Burma. Before 1988, we did not know what is democracy or what is human rights. Actually, I have no political background, but I witnessed government crackdown, the peaceful demonstration very brutally.
Okay, ကျွန်တော်တို့တက္ကသိုလ်တက်သူကတော့ကျွန်တော်ကပထဝီမေဂျာနဲ့ကျွန်တော်တက်ပါတယ်။နည်းနည်းဆိုးခဲ့တဲ့လူတွေလို့ပြောလို့ရပါတယ်။ဆိုတော့တက္ကသိုလ်ကျောင်းသားဘဝကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ခပ်ပေးပြီးတည်တည်နေပဲကျွန်တော်ဖြတ်ခဲ့ကြပါတယ်။အဖေဆိုင်ထိုင်တယ်တကယ်ကြီးနေဆိုပြစ်တယ်ဒီကြပြာစာအုပ်တွေထုတ်ကြတယ်ဖတ်ကြတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စမျိုးတွေကျွန်တော်ရှိပါတယ်။နောက်တစ်ခါကိုယ့်ရဲ့တန်းကြီးတဲ့လူတွေအတွေ့အကြုံရှိတဲ့လူတွေကနေပြီးတော့ဒီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးမိတ်ဆက်ပေးတာတွေကျွန်တော်ရှိပါတယ်
In August and September 1988, popular opposition to Burma's military government erupted, and in Rangoon alone more than 500,000 civilians, monks and even soldiers took to the streets demanding social, economic and political reform. The response of Burma's military irrevocably stamped it as one of the most brutal dictatorships of the 20th century.
So in 1988, I was a high school student. As a young person, I was active, also energetic, and also I love fairness. So when 88 generation happened, so me and also my friends, so we want to see the marching. When we were marching, so we had, in the other route, they were shot by the soldier.
Before I make a decision to do a peaceful demonstration, I have already know that if I was lucky, I will be arrested. If I was unlucky, I would die during the demonstration.
In response to the demonstrations, Burma's military opened fire and more than 3,000 men, women and children were shot on the streets of Rangoon. In the ensuing weeks, months and years, the military rounded up, tortured and sentenced to lengthy jail terms thousands of people suspected of being part of Burma's democracy movement.
Okay, ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီလုံးမယ်လုံးဆုံးဖြတ်တဲ့ကလုံးစပြီးတော့ဒီနိုင်ငံရေးမှာစပြီးတော့ပါဝင်ခဲ့တဲ့ကိုကတစ်ချိန်ချိန်မှာအဖမ်းခံရမယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအုံနောက်နဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့နှလုံးသားနဲ့တည်ပြီးသားပါဒါပေမဲ့တကယ်အဖမ်းခံရတဲ့အချိန်မှာတော့
I never think of to go to prison when I was young. I believe my family and I believe my society. What we are doing is nothing wrong. I was not arrested during the demonstration, but a few days later I was arrested in my home when I was eating with my family for lunch.
Many of the friends, many of the colleagues, they were arrested. So some were arrested when they were only 14 years or 15 years old.
The arrest of those opposing the Burmese military continued unabated through the 1990s and the first decade of the new millennium. Cause for optimism, inspired by prisoner releases, were shown to be insincere window dressing as released prisoners, including Daw Aung San Suu Kyi and Ko Min Ko Naing, were once again imprisoned, and further mass crackdowns on democracy activists continued.
Yeah, monks are treated very badly. The first thing is, as soon as they were arrested, intelligence personnel forced them to take off their robe, and then they were treated like a criminal prisoners. And then physically also, during the interrogation, they received brutal torture. In some cases, monks were transferred to the labor camps. Such kind of things are really worse to the monks.
I was arrested for the first time
For organizing demonstration.
For a leading role in 1996 student demonstrations.
For passing on information to groups.
for lobbying for reopening the union.
We marched and demonstrated to demand the release of Daw Aung San Suu Kyi.
I was arrested for trying to set up student union.
As a result of the demonstration, military intelligence arrested me.
And then again, in 1998, for 7 years with hard labor for distributing the history of Burma students' political movements books.
Political activists in Burma have been convicted under laws including the Emergency Provisions Act and the Unlawful Association Act, which impose draconian restrictions on freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of movement. The judiciary has also readily manipulated civilian acts such as the Printers and Publishers Registration Act and the Electronics Act in order to prosecute political activists. For example, one of Burma's most famous political prisoners, Ko Min Ko Naing, was sentenced to 60 years imprisonment for breach of the Electronics Act. Others have been sent to jail for such trivialities as being filmed or purchasing batteries for an unregistered video camera.
You can take him, Mishibahu, Pianle Chibago, Mishibahu. The Ludia do you tell Ganibido, General Sojatin, Pido, the Ayungani video, the Moody Nepata video, Malazula Biore, so don't got me by it. Bisila, so we don't get Tamile, General Mishiba, don't go. Lonely Tona, don't need time like these with it, was out, Pepala.
Military officers are like judge. They ask only one question: did I commit a crime? I answered one sentence: absolutely no. He responded that 3 years imprisonment would hardly, but that's all finished the trial.
The Nanya to the Pumaga, who Tagua, Haze Kunedega, Toda de Pumateba. 18 years, don't swear that. Maneatiba. Dineshibare. Now Lame Nagamare, Tony Umama, General Democracy Matonga the Yugaro, the Pomaria, Shini Umama, Diga, Poma, Yabosima, Puma, Nanya, General, the bigger Bidulotoma, the Biduro Gozele, Udenugani, Tingera Shivare, the Pomario, Pep, people, so that is ဒါပေမဲ့လွတ်တော်မှာအစိုးရကအခက်မသိရင်စိတ်လုံးမကြရင်အခုပုံမှန်33နဲ့ဆွဲလို့ရတယ်
First time I arrested in 1989.
I was imprisoned for 7 years.
5 years, 1 month and 7 days.
Second time I arrested in 1990 March 12.
I was in prison for 7 years and 3 months in total for 2 times.
And I was detained 2 times again.
That time I arrested in 1996 October.
I was imprisoned for 12 years.
Last time I arrested in 1996 December.
I was arrested in 1998 for helping to organize the student protests. I was serving in prison for 5 years and 9 months.
It was really interesting to talk to people who were actual prisoners. It's really emotional and you really feel sad and stuff. And when I was talking to Lily, that was the saddest part because then you have a face, you have a story, it's a real human. You're talking to her and she's telling you she's been in prison for 5 years and that's just when I felt the saddest.
So at that time, 2 military intelligence came to my apartment around 10:30 p.m. And then they told my mom they are national intelligence and then they wanted to see me and they wanted to question me for a while. I was blindfolded, then taken to the secret detention center. So at the same night, I was taken to the insane prison. But in the first day of my time in the cell, in the afternoon, I slept again. Then I had a nightmare in which 2 hairy hands squeezed my neck. Yeah, the cell was only 8 by 12 cell. So first I was detained alone for a week. So for 7 months, I was allocated only 15 minutes per day for bathing only, both bathing and washing clothes, not for doing exercise, not for walking. Like other political prisoners, I was transferred from the prison to like a remote part prison. It's 200 miles away from my family, so my family cannot visit. So political prisoner, also other prisoners, they depend on family visit and family support. Supporting food, also medication, also clothing, and also personal item, everything. So without family visit, I think anyone can die easily in prison.
Since 1988 until now, 150 political prisoners dying in prison because of torture, because of starvation, and then because they not getting timely medical treatment and also enough medical support by the prison authorities. Some of my friends died during their prison time. I really want the truth for them.
In March 2011, 4 months after Burma's widely condemned general elections, President Thein Sein takes office. With him come waves of reform in Burma, including, over a 16-month period, the release of more than 650 of Burma's political prisoners. These releases attract widespread international media coverage and contribute to the lifting of economic and development sanctions on Burma.
ဒီလိုမျိုးထင်ရနိုင်ငံရေးကျင်းသားတွေကိုမျိုးတခါမှမလုပ်ပေးမနဲ့ဒီတခါအများစုကြီးလုပ်ပေးတယ်ဆိုတာထူးခြားတဲ့ကိစ္စအပြည့်ရစေကိစ္စတွေလုပ်နေတဲ့ကိစ္စငြိမ်းချမ်းရေးအတွက်ဆွေးနွေးနေတဲ့ကိစ္စဆိုတာထူးခြားတဲ့ကိစ္စစီဝါရေးပြုပြင်ပြောင်းလဲမှုကိစ္စတွေလုပ်နေတယ်ဆိုတာကပြောင်းလဲမှုထူးခြားတဲ့မှုကိစ္စတွေထူးခြားတဲ့အဖြစ်ဖြစ်တယ်
In March 2012, President Thein Sein publicly announces that there are no longer any political prisoners in Burma's jails. But even as the president makes this statement, ongoing ethnic conflict and the continuing detention of political activists call into question the ability of Burma's fledgling parliament to control Burma's military and other security forces.
So in order to solve Burmese problem, Burmese government must immediately solve the 3 problems. One is to release all political prisoners. Second is to stop war on ethnic minorities. Third is to stop human rights violation and then to take an action to those who committed human rights violations. Without solving those problems, Burma will not get peace.
ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါကလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ပုံမှန်လေးပြောရမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့စစ်တပိုင်းဆိုရဖြစ်နေဆိုတော့ဒီလွတ်တော်ထဲမှာဆုံးဖြတ်နိုင်တဲ့ရခိုင်နိုးကဒီစစ်တပ်နဲ့စစ်တပ်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြောင်းလဲလာတဲ့ဒီပွင့်နေပြောတယ်မတရားအနိုင်ယူထားတဲ့လွတ်တော်ကိုယ်စားလှယ်ပေါ့တပ်ဖို့ကိုယ်စားလှယ်ကြီးဖြစ်နေတဲ့အတွက်နောက်တစ်ခါ85ရာခိုင်နှုန်းမှမပြည့်ဘူးဆိုရင်ဒီဥပဒေတွေကိုပြင်ဆင်ခွင့်မရတဲ့ကိစ္စမျိုးတွေဖြစ်နေတဲ့အခါကျတော့စစ်တပ်ရဲ့ဩဇာတက်ရောက်မှုကတိတ်ကြီးနေတယ်စစ်တပ်မပါဘဲနဲ့ကျွန်တော်ပြောင်းလဲလို့မရဘူးအဲ့တော့စစ်တပ်ပိုင်းအစိုးရဖြစ်နေတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီစစ်တပ်ကိုဘယ်လောက်ယုံရမလဲဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စမျိုးတွေကကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ပုံမှာမူတည်တယ်ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ဒီကနေ့သမ္မတဦးသိန်းစိန်ကကျွန်တော်မှတ်မိသလောက်9ချိန်ထက်မနည်းရခိုင်ချင်းပြည်နယ်မှာစစ်ပွဲတွေရပ်ဖို့အတွက်ထိုးစစ်တွေရပ်ဖို့အတွက်ကာကွယ်ဦးစီးချုပ်ကိုအမဲပေးထားပြီးပါအငယ်ဝင်ကြီးပြောထားပြီးပါတို့ပေမဲ့စစ်ပြစ်ခတ်မရပါဘူး
Parliament cannot have power now. Parliament cannot control the government. Parliament cannot control the army. So we have a lot of challenges. In the meanwhile, arrests is still continue. Civil war is still continue. Many kinds of human rights violations are still happening. For example, forced labor, forced border, like the rape cases, land confiscation, also peaceful demonstrators arrests.
When they were arrested, they were also constantly questioned for the whole night. That's still the same. So when family asks, well, our children were taken to, they said they didn't have. So still the same. This situation is still the same. So family members, they don't know where their loved one was to take. Their law, it said, okay, people are allowed to protest, but it's still many of restriction and it's still dangerous.
On the Thailand-Burma border, there is one organisation working on behalf of Burma's political prisoners. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, better known as AAPP, was founded by 10 former political prisoners on the 3rd of March 2000, the 11th anniversary of the arrest of prominent student leader Kominko Nine.
AAPP ထူထောင်တာနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ကတော့ပြောစမဲ့ဆိုတော့ပြောစရာအများကြီးပါတယ်။ပုံမှန်ကျွန်တော်အချင်းချုပ်ပြီးကျွန်တော်ပြောနေတယ်။ပြောနေတယ်ဆိုတာကခုနာကစကားတွေနဲ့ပြန်ဆက်ရမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်အချင်းတော်ထဲမှာ3နှစ်လောက်နေရတယ်။ပြီးတော့ပြန်လွတ်လာတယ်။ပြန်လွတ်လာကျင်းတောင်ထဲမှာနေကြတာပျော်သလားမပျော်သလားစိတ်ဆင်းရဲစရာတွေဝမ်းသာစရာတွေအများကြီးကြုံခဲ့ရတယ်ရှိပါတယ်။သို့မဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ယောက်ျားသားတွေအတွက်ကျွန်တော်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာဆောင်းမှုရှိပါတယ်။ဆိုးစကားရှိပါတယ်။ဒါရှင်လင်းပြန်တဲ့နေ့ထောင်ဝလွတ်တဲ့နေ့မိမရတဲ့နေ့ပေါ့ဆိုတော့နေ့3နေ့ရှိတယ်လို့ပြောပါတယ်။သို့ပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်ထောင်ဝလွတ်တဲ့အချိန်မှာမပြောခဲ့ပါဘူး။ဒါအယူသားဆုံးကိုပဲလုံးဝမပြောခဲ့ပါဘူး။ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်လူပဲအချင်းတောင်တွေကထွက်လာတဲ့နိုင်ငံရေးအချင်းသားတွေအသီးသီးကထောင်ဝလွတ်တဲ့နေ့မှာကျွန်တော်လူပဲမပြောခဲ့ဘူးဆိုတာကိုကျွန်တော်သိခဲ့ရပါတယ်။ဆိုတော့အဲ့လိုထွက်လာပြီးတဲ့အခြေအနေကဘာလို့မပြောရလဲဆိုတော့ထောင်ထဲမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ ਨੇ ရုပ်ပေါ်ကိုင်မဲလေးရဲဘော်ရဲပဲတွေကြမ်းနေကြတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ပဲဆက်ခံစားနေရအောင်ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီအသီးနဲ့ကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကမပြောခဲ့တာပါနောက်တစ်ခုကကျွန်တော်တို့အချင်းတောင်တွေကလွတ်လာခဲ့တဲ့လူတိုင်းကနိုင်ငံရေးပြစ်မှုနဲ့နိုင်ငံရေးအမှုနဲ့ထောင်ချပြီးတော့ပြန်လွတ်လာတဲ့လူတိုင်းကျွန်တော်တို့တူညီတဲ့အသိစိတ်လေးတစ်ခုစီပါလာကြတယ်ဒါကဘာလဲဆိုတော့အချင်းတော်တွေမှာရှိနေတဲ့လူတွေကိုကူညီရမယ်သူတို့ရဲ့လွတ်မြောက်ရေးအတွက်ကြိုးပမ်းရမယ်ဆိုတဲ့စိတ်အဲ့ဒီစိတ်ကကျွန်တော်ပြောရဲပါတယ်အချင်းတော်တွေကထွက်လာတဲ့လူတိုင်းစီမှာဒီစိတ်ကထောင်ထဲကထွက်လာတာနဲ့အတူပါလာတဲ့စိတ်ပါ
It's amazing being here whenever someone is released because a lot of them are family members of, let's say, AK or Koboji or Mazulu or their friends, and usually the guys here are they're very strong and very emotionally strong. But sometimes I see out of the corner of my eye they might tear up a bit, when they hear of a release, and it's really quite endearing, and it makes me realize, why I'm here and why everyone's doing what they're doing.
Mainly what our intention is to to lobby and advocacy for the release of all political prisoners. So still they continue doing. Also, one of our objectives is to reconstruct the life of the released political prisoners. What we are doing is rehabilitation program for the released political prisoners. Assistance to the political prisoner families is also important because many of the political prisoners are breadwinners of the families. When they were arrested, their family economic situation is really worse. But at least partially we could help them. It means scholarship program for political prisoner children and released political prisoner children. It means we understand that education is vital for changing Burma.
If some people is seriously need for accommodation, for health, and also for job, we help as much as we can. Mostly, most political prisoners, they had been tortured during interrogation, so they were severely beaten, punched. So AAPP has a mental health program to take care of, to give assistance for the political prisoner.
The second broad objective of AAPP has been advocacy focusing on the recognition, release, and rights of Burma's political prisoners. To this end, over the years, AAPP has initiated or collaborated on a number of very successful campaigns. One of these, in 2009, was the Free Political Prisoners in Burma Now campaign, in which, in a United Nations first, more than 700,000 signatures were presented to the UN Secretary-General, Ban Ki-moon. Like other campaigns, this campaign ensured that Burma's political prisoners maintained a presence in the international media spotlight.
The RFA interview not Hawaii, not a car, Kuporu, Dorari, Kichu interview, but you're never very bad. Now, the Fifi at Tampa Milan and Tia, I don't know the changing of Lumens or Tija.
Palujami Rales or no, July now, that just a teacher of Midon, Sakuya Milatin, and no love, lady. Yavajima, come out Amu River Neosile, Amu ready and Name Shiva, so I think much no. The Ahabiola and Nitin Engineer and Lumio also will look down. A general child was the Amnesty International or something white down Yanari, General Ahabiola, Janapia. The other all the down are in a Sessabio, that Lamira Diva, which is Tolia or Toto Martinez, Elu. Teacher, you did a motion to come and
Kuyo Jen. Any Kuyo Gaba, Lumulu de Lesro, to Mulu Beijing Lumulu, the Gate and Dilu. The new two in it, Sagapio G resolution, time you come with Lumen. Time you nip out, Sophia on Lumen Diamo, Janona Gong Sagapio G.
Okay, the Nangaye agenda Liga, who in a Jono Melabioni as a Garishibare, so Janoni Mobile, Taga Nangadaga or Adulu meaning a Shibare. So Nangaye Generali Zuraka, the Nangaye Ya, Ochoda Luliga, the Sangame.
It's very, very sad. The high-profile ones are used as bargaining chips, which is dehumanizing for one. But on the other hand, that means that their releases are pretty much, have been secured because there's been a lot of advocacy around them. But the ones who are forgotten, they'll just remain behind bars.
What we ask for is to recognize the existence of political prisoners and then to release them unconditionally. Now the way they release the political prisoner is conditional release, and then they do not recognize them as political prisoners. So therefore, I am dissatisfied with the government for such kind of release. Meanwhile, there are more than 400 political prisoners that remain in prison.
ချွန်းချက်မရှိလွတ်ပေးတယ်ဆိုတာကတော့တစ်ချက်သူတို့ကိုလွတ်ပေးလိုက်ပြီးတဲ့အပြင်ကိုသူတို့ကိုတတ်ထားတဲ့ပုံမှန်တွေပြစ်မှုတွေကိုရုပ်သိမ်းပေးရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်။အဲ့ဒါမှချွန်းချက်မရှိလို့ခေါ်မယ်။နောက်တစ်ခုကအနှောက်ဖွဲ့ကင်းမရမယ်။ဥပမာဒီကနေ့လွတ်ပေးလိုက်တဲ့400နဲ့လွတ်ပေးလိုက်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စမျိုးကအချိန်မီနောက်အချိန်မီပြန်ဖမ်းလို့ရသလိုနောက်အမှုတစ်ခုခုနဲ့ပြန်ပြီးတော့နိုင်ငံရေးအမှုတစ်ခုခုနဲ့ပြန်ဖမ်းခံရမယ်ဆိုရင်ဒီနှစ်လေကြက်ခံခဲ့တဲ့ကြံခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်လေပါနောက်ကျောင်းပြန်ခံစားရမယ်အနေအထားမျိုးရှိပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါတွေကချင်းချက်လို့ပြောလို့ရပါတယ်
For former political prisoners, they have faced difficulties to get a job.
For example, is lawyers. They could not get back their license. Doctors, they could not get back their license.
Some of them, they are not allowed to continue their study.
Students, they could not go back to their universities.
They were not permitted to get passport.
This means not only they are given punishment when they are in prison, they are given punishment after they were released. It means if you have been once political prisoners in Burma, you are always your life is always under arrest.
On the 30th of July 2012, United Nations Special Rapporteur to Burma, Mr. Thomas Quintana, met delegations from a number of political and social organisations, including the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners. Only days before, Mr. Quintana had had the opportunity to meet with some of the political prisoners still languishing in Burma's most notorious jails.
So I had the chance to have a very meaningful conversation with the political prisoners, and then I had the chance to talk to the authorities about their situation, to raise again the issue of the importance that these people are released as soon as possible. And I also had the chance to discuss the issue with the international community, with some member states of the United Nations, that I believe that they have a responsibility on this, for these people not to be forgotten, because as again it's important for the democratic transition that there are no political prisoners in Myanmar. It's very important because first these people who are under detention, they deserve to be released, because the detention is arbitrary. There's no legal basis for them to still be in jail. But also I believe that they have an important role to play in this democratic transition. These are all people committed to peace, to peace building, to democracy, and it's definitely important and they deserve the right to participate in this process.
As well as the need to release all political prisoners, AAPP urged Mr. Quintana to keep the use of torture by Burma's security forces on the United Nations agenda. AAPP maintains that torture is systematic, is part of state policy, and that perpetrators of torture should be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah. Also, another thing is international community is forgot to talk about torturers, especially army. You know, who cannot control the army? No one can control the army now. I am not talking about the past. I am talking now. You know, now like we have several cases.
There are many complaints, including the names and ranks of the security officers who committed the torture.
So yes, I received information in Kachin State, the army, kidnapping these villagers and torturing them. I discussed this with the Home Minister of Affairs about my concern. One of the problems at the same time is that there is not really a rule of law functioning in the country. So we don't see judges holding this kind of action against those who committed torture.
In addition to advocating for the unconditional release of all political prisoners and an end to the use of torture, AAPP diligently monitors political prisoner numbers, prisoner profiles, the circumstances of detention, and then makes this information readily accessible to the international community. The organisation also lobbies for the international community to recognise that those who have taken up arms in defence of democracy and human rights are also legitimate political prisoners.
Burmese people are still fighting for their rights. So therefore, it means not only non-violent but also resistant means exist in Burma. So therefore, we need to be really careful whenever we talk about political prisoners or prisoner conscience. Prisoner conscience means it's very simple thing. It means non-violent. Those who are doing peaceful demonstration. Political prisoner means those who involved in their resistance movement. In Burma there is a civil war. We should recognize those who are fighting for their rights. If we do not recognize them as political prisoners, how do we solve the problem in Burma?
And as organisations increasingly look to working inside Burma, AAPP lobbies the Burmese government for an infrastructure that will protect and support political prisoners and by so doing help the process of national reform and reconciliation.
Burma is an unhealthy society. Burma is trauma society. We need to do a lot of rehabilitation programs. But in Africa, so they're a former political prisoner organization officially. So they can do workshop, they can do training, they can do vocational training, also maybe counseling or counselor.
Well, right now we're working on advocating for a joint review board that would include someone from the Burmese government. Hopefully the UN Special Rapporteur would be involved, as well as AAPP.
And then Truth and Justice Commission. So we need to do such kind of things in the future. We do not want to take any action to those, including Udain Sen, Senior General Tan Shui and General Kenyon. But I want them to confess. And then I want them to take responsibility for social justice and then rehabilitation for released political prisoners and torture victims.
And so the message that I'd be able to take back is pretty simple, is that the work is not yet done. We can't pull out the support or the aid money, and we can't stop the advocacy. There's still a lot of things that are badly messed up. While one person is in detention for political activities or for thought crime or for reporting, then this work isn't complete.
Not only myself but also my colleagues who are working with me believe that the release of all political prisoners is for the first step of changing Burma into the democratic one. In our time, we felt that we were forgotten by the people. So that is the main thing, we set up this organization. We want to give them a message. We will never forget you. We always trying to release.
ABB မရှိကြီးပေါ့ ABB ကလုတ်เสียမရှိတော့ဘူး ABB ခေါင်းစဉ်နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးလုတ်เสียမရှိတော့ဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အောင်ပွဲလို့ပြောလို့ရတာကျွန်တော်တို့လုံနိုင်ခဲ့တယ်ကျွန်တော်ရဲ့ရည်ရွယ်ချက်လေးအောင်မြင်ခဲ့တယ်လို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့လည်းမပြီးဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းနောက်မျိုးဆက်တွေကဒီတောင်ကုန်လေးဆက်ပြီးယူပြီးလုတ်သွားမယ်ကိစ္စမျိုးတွေရှိမှာပါ
Be the ray and do it, yeah, same time and salute. ပြီးမှလူဖြစ်ရတာတကယ်ကိုပဲလွယ်ပါလားဘာပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်ငါတို့ချစ်တဲ့မြန်မာပြည်ကငါတို့မြေပဲငါတို့ပြောတဲ့စကားမြစ်တာရင်းနဲ့လွှဲချုံကနာကက်ကိုတွေးကြည့်စမ်းပြပြများအားလုံးရှုပ်ထားလိုက်အောင်ထားရအောင်တိုင်းပြည်အတွက်တောင်းဆိုတော့မီဒီမိုကရေစီတောင်းနေပြီပြည်သူတွေလည်းညောင်းနေပြီကြောင်းတွေကလည်းခဏခဏပိတ်စီးပွားရေးလည်းလိမ်ချနေချတဲ့ချမရေးကစိတ်မချပိတ်